Hey, what is up guys, Epic Pokemon TCG here, and today guys, I have probably the most difficult video I've ever had to do, and probably the most difficult video I'm going to have to do for a long time. So as you see on screen here, I have 60 cards that I'm going to be talking about. Now I'm not going to go into 10-minute detail on each and every card, but I'm going to kind of brisk through most of these and talk a little bit about the important ones, and just talk about what they did for the format and how I think it's going to affect the format, and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and hop right on into this, excuse me. So as you all know, the format is going to be X and Y on, so we're losing a doozy. We're losing pretty much boundaries crossed all the way to legendary treasures. So we're going to start off here with Flagon. Flagon was a very important card for a little bit. It was in a lot of decks that was able to abuse this Sand Slammer ability, which is pretty much any time between turns. If this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, put one damage counter on each of your opponent's Pokemon. If they have like 6 Pokemon or so, then they'd be taking 60 between turns, and then they would normally partner that up with Dusknoir, which you can just move the damage around. And Dusknoir was also a card that was in a lot of decks too, like in Polion decks. Polion was a fantastic attacker that abused the living crap out of Execute as soon as I found. Flagon is going bye-bye, unfortunately. Now, Adino was a card that was mostly used in Flareon decks, and along with Ditto. So seeing these two go along with the main deck is pretty heartbreaking. Also, Execute was abused in that deck as well. Snorlax was the OG Well-Lord type deck for pretty much like the plasma stuff and everything, and drawing a blank here. Black and white, there we go. So yeah, had the block ability. As long as this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, your opponent can't retreat. So they would run 4 Snorlax, normally like Crushing Hammers, Lasers, and whatnot. And they would run Shadow Triads, and it was just really annoying. Back when this deck got popular, there was really not a lot that could take down this 130 HP that quickly. And that was a cool popular deck for a little while. Even saw it get partnered up with Excelgor. And another Plasma Pokemon we're having to say goodbye to. And I actually saw a little bit of spike in play as of late due to Skyfield, but not too much, is Absol. Absol was really popular in the Plasma decks that ran Kyurem, Thundurus, and Deoxys, or TDK as most of you may know it as. Pretty much back then they would play Prism Energy, and you just splash in an Absol, and you'd be hitting for a lot of damage. And this was a really cool Pokemon to get charged up in one turn with a Prism Energy and a Coerce Machine. That is indeed right down here, which would allow you to attach a Plasma Energy from your deck, and it would hit for a lot of damage because you could abuse Deoxys. So really sad to see that go. Another card that's been in the format for a very long time is indeed Darkrai EX. This card won Worlds, I think, 2 times in a row or so, 2 or 3 times in a row. And it was pretty good with Dark Patch, just because hitting for 90 was like a magic number, just because of the fact you could hit for 180 damage, which would take down basically any Pokemon EX back in the day of its prime. And then you could do 30 damage. But on top of that, you also got the Dark Cloak ability, which gave each of your each of your Pokemon have any Dark Energy, free retreat. So Darkrai was a very good card. I ran this deck for a long time. I made top cut and almost won some tournaments and won some league challenges with this deck. And Darkrai, straight Darkrai Garbodor, you name it, the deck was amazing. Evital Darkrai. I'm really sad to see this card go. Of course, we don't know what's going to happen with the Battle Arena deck, but we'll just have to see at that time. So really sad to see this card go. Zoroark was a card that was used a little bit, and I actually did run this card too. So play at a regionals, I think last year, and it has the Brutal Bash. It wasn't like the card that was used a crap ton, but people were able to abuse it. When they ran Evital and stuff, when you could hit for a lot of damage with other dark attackers along with this one. I had Brutal Bash, and that was pretty much the only attack you did, unless you had 90 damage on there, which would hit for 180 with Dark Rush. But this was a cool little card, and I figured it deserved a spot in here. Now, here is one of the most saddest times you'll ever see me, is saying goodbye to Landorus. I sold mine at Nationals, and I walked out, and I was literally upset. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. I walked out, and I was legitimately upset. Landorus is hands down my favorite Pokemon EX, of all time. I ran this deck, Big Basics. Ran it for a very, very, very long time, and won tournaments with it, and it was my baby. It was my creation, and it was a deck that suited my playstyle perfectly. And Landorus was a amazing EX for a very long time, and with the release of Furious Fist, it got even better. And we've seen Lando bats and such recently, and it was a cool card. And another heavy hitter that's a fighting type is Terrakion. Terrakion is a really, really old card that was played a lot. And we lost it for a little bit, but then it did get released again. It has the Retaliate attack. Now back then, the 90 damage of Retaliate was absolutely insane. Okay, people were playing Quad Terrakion. There was pretty much, honestly, if you could splash fighting energy into a deck, you run Terrakion. This card was even part of a Texas Regionals, I think. I think it was like Big TD Terrakion or something like that. That was one of the main decks it was in. I also played it in Big Basics for a little bit, and it was played in Eels too, if they could spare the room for a Prism Energy. And it had Land Crush for 90, and there was also Terrakion Terrakion Garbodor. So Terrakion was in a lot of decks. Now, a card that really saw huge popularity with the release of Battle Compressor and such was Flareon. Has the Vengeance attack, which does 20 plus 10 more for each Pokemon in your discard pile. Now you can pair that with Audino and Ditto, like I just went over a minute ago, and this card was hitting for a lot of damage. We've seen this used in a lot of different types, like variants and whatnot. One of the main things I remember was Flareon Configrigus Milotic, which was pretty much you knock out, put like 2 or 3 Pokemon into the discard pile if you have Ditto underneath them, and you would get the benefits from it. And those were some cool decks, and I didn't actually add those into the list, but those are definitely cards that were played in Flareon. And we're actually getting this Pokemon, very similar type in Vespiquen coming up in the new set. But overall, Flareon is the original, and it's really sad to see this go. It's an evolution, and it was a very popular evolution, so that definitely adds to the sadness. So we're sad to see Flareon go. Leafeon was mostly used to counter grass types, and it was also pretty much for all weak to water, which was really bad. It just skips Flareon, which was really bad for Flareon. But we do have Sceptile and stuff coming out, and we go towards the replacement for Flareon. Pretty much we're just going to be running Vespiquen with the new evolutions. Now I definitely had to add the Outrage Dragons in this list just because they were such great cards when they first came out. And it has, I actually used the Quad Reshiram deck on my channel, and if you guys want to go watch that battle, definitely go do that. It's a fantastic one. But Reshiram, Zekrom, and Kyurem all have the Outrage attack, and then they'll have an attack that suits themselves for 2 of their type along with the colorless. And I had to add Reshiram in this list just because it's finally saying its final goodbyes, and we've seen this card in Reshiboar, Reshiflosion, just etc. And we've seen it put in Seismitoad decks during the early days when Bruiser Genesect was absolutely dominating. So really a cool card, and definitely does deserve a spot on this list. Speaking of Emboar, Infernal Fandango. So we will be saying goodbye to Infernal Fandango finally. It got released multiple times, honestly. As often as you like, before your attack, you may attach a fire energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon. So yeah, that was an obvious, pair up with this. That was actually my best friend Ricky. That was actually his first ever top cut. Was with Reshiboar. So that was really cool. And just like Reshiram, Emboar does deserve a spot on this list. Ninetales, this was a really sick card. It had the Bright Look ability, and that was really cool when it first came out, just because we haven't had Bright Look since Luxray Level X. And you know, it had Hex Flame, which was really good when you paired it with Hypnotoxic Laser, which I will get to here in a minute. So that's pretty cool. I had to add him on there, or her, whatever. Celebi X, this was just in there for a lot of evolution decks that wanted to use their previous attacks. And you know, it was a cool little EX. And Celebi, so I had to add it on the list. Execute. Alright. Now, I did not add Executor, the good one, on here, just because of the fact that I don't have it on this account. But you guys know what it does. However, it will be playable and expanded. All these cards you're seeing will be playable and expanded, and that's really cool. But we are going to have to say goodbye to Execute, which has Propagation, one of the best abilities. Honestly, one of the most flexible abilities too, I might add. And the Pokemon TCG. You know, you could pretty much, if it's in your discard pile, you can put it in your hands. So potentially, you know, along with Battle Compressor, you could get free Ultra Ball, you could get free Computer Search, free Dowsing Machine, or just whatever you needed to get Execute for, or Diving Draw, which I talked about earlier, which was really sweet. Alright, so here we go. Virizion Genesect, the deck that won Worlds last year. So we're saying goodbye to Virizion Genesect, and thank God. Virizion Genesect has its up and downs moments and stuff throughout Pokemon when it was released. When it first came out, it was like an deck. You know, people didn't really see the power of it. But as time went on, people started perfecting the deck, making it a lot better. And then it became one of the best Pokemon TCG decks you could absolutely play. Then decks started getting too fast for it to handle. Then it, you know, went to a period where, you know, water was getting big and Seismitoad was getting huge, so it was starting to, you know, get better. And then, you know, it's just back and forth, and it's still one of the decks that, you know, is definitely the most powerful that, you know, is mentioned in this whole video, if not the most powerful, honestly. So that definitely did deserve a spot on this list. But, you know, we're going to be moving on to new grass types, new grass Pokemon, such as Sceptile, Mega Sceptile, Vileplume, and stuff like that. So Virizion Genesect is going to be leaving the grass type in good hands for the Pokemon TCG future. Now, I had to add the other Shaman on this list just because it was amazing. This card could hit for so much damage, and, you know, honestly, when you can get a card that can hit for that much damage, not including it on the list would be silly. So it has Revenge Blast. It is 30 for each prize card your opponent is taking. Late game, this card was insane. Also, it has the Synthesis ability. Search your deck for a Grass Energy card and attach one of your Pokemon. So Energy Acceleration, and it can hit really hard. Definitely deserves a spot. Now, speaking of Virizion, we also have it right here. Has the Verdant Wind ability, which is probably alone the reason it should be on this list. Not including the fact it was in a deck that won Worlds, but each of your Pokemon that has any grass energy attached to it can't be affected by special conditions, and remove any special conditions affecting those Pokemon upon attaching the energy. Also, it has Emerald Slash for 50 damage. Search your deck for 2 grass energy cards and attach to one of your bench Pokemon. This card was so good. You know, it stopped Hypnotoxic Laser, and just it stopped, you know, Muna. It stopped all kinds of stuff that, you know, caused special conditions. And Virizion was honestly a really good card. You know, it was played in fairy decks. It was played really into anything that, you know, ran grass energy, just because of how good it was. So we're sad to see Virizion go, and hopefully, you know, hopefully we can get something that can handle special conditions as well as Virizion in the future. Okay, I was gonna go over a Thundurus, but apparently not. So we'll go over this Thundurus. That's embarrassing. All right, so this is one of the Plasma Pokemon from TDK. This has the T. Thundurus EX has Raid and Knuckle for 30 damage. Attach an energy card from your discard pile to one of your bench Team Plasma Pokemon. You didn't really use Thunderous Noise. You mostly just had this card in here for Raid and Knuckle. And whenever Muscle Band came out and everything like that, you know, you had Deoxys and you had Muscle Band. So you'd be attaching one energy and doing probably about, you know, 50, 70, 80 damage a turn for just one energy. Also, you could attach any energy from your discard pile to one of your, you know, bench Plasma Pokemon. So that was definitely really cool. This was a really big counter to Evital EX. Whenever Evital first came out, started dominating, TDK was still running strong, and Thundurus was a pretty cool way to counter Evital EX. Electrode was in. I keep doing that. Alright, okay, so that was the Electrode that, you know, you gotta draw. You have 4 cards in hand. That was used a little bit. I keep clicking the wrong button. Alright, so here is Zekrom. You know, the outraged Zekrom. So that's what's in here. I kind of went over it with Reshiram. This was used in Eels a lot, and it was kind of used in Seismitoad to counter Evital. So that's why that's in there. Also, Donphan. Also, I forgot to mention it. I actually ran Zekrom, and I actually ran a Reshiram in my Donphan list. It's cool. So we got the Zekrom EX, the same thing. It was used in Eels, and it's finally saying goodbye. Alright, so we're moving down the list here. So we got Cobalion EX. This was a fantastic card that was used in, you know, pretty much metal decks and fairy decks too. Righteous Edge for 30, discard special energy attached to defending Pokemon. You can be discarding, you know, DCEs. You can discard Prism Energies, Rainbow Energies, or whatever throughout its lifetime. Still bullet 100, you know, pretty much a solid 100 damage, and it didn't have, you know, you couldn't get past it. It was just 100 damage. So. Cobalion EX was a fantastic metal card, and you know it's really, you know, crappy that it has to go. I personally, I understand why they have rotations. I'm all for rotations, but you know, looking at these cards, I'm just like, you know, getting upset because they're going. Especially this little guy, Jirachi EX, the OG support Pokemon, Stellar Guidance. When you play this card from your hand to your bench, you may search your deck for a supporter card, bill it, put it in your hand, shuffle your deck afterwards. Jirachi EX could bail you out of any situation. You know, if you're having a dead hand, an Ultra Ball could turn into a Jirachi, which could turn into a supporter. Yeah, it had 90 HP, and you know, gave up 2 prizes. But when you needed him, Jirachi was always there. Keeping up this metal fat here. Got Kling Kling. Prevent all damage done to your metal Pokemon by attacks from your Pokemon's EX. So, this was actually, I think it was in a top 8 Nationals deck. Kling Kling was. Pretty much it protected all your metal types. And they couldn't really attack you. You know, if they didn't have anything that wasn't an EX, they couldn't attack you. Was a big part of Michael's Texas State bag. You know, heavy metal fairies, which, you know, a lot of these cards are from. this thing here, I had to add it in there. So we have Joust. Oh wait, you're not. Oh, you're not rotating. Yay. Okay, you're out of the video. Okay, my bad. Alright, so we got Deoxys, the D to the TDK. I had the Power Connect. Your Team Plasma Pokemon's attacks do 10 more damage. So pretty much this could stack. You had 4 Deoxys on the bench, you're doing an extra 40 damage. It had Helix Force. This Pokemon has any Plasma Energy attached to it. This stack is 30 plus 30 for each energy attached to defending Pokemon. This was a really cool Mewtwo counter. And also if they had a Pokemon had a lot of energy on it, you could just play down Deoxys and, you know, just Helix Force for a lot of damage. Unfortunately, Deoxys didn't stack and give, you know, Deoxys didn't give other Deoxys extra damage, but still, Deoxys is a really cool card. 2 retreat cost, unfortunately, but still a great card. So Drifblim, Shadow Steel is what is in here. 50 times the number of special energies in your opponent's discard pile. This was a cool card. They could, you know, hit for like 150 damage if you know. Also, you know, if you're at enhanced damage, this could just stack up even easier. So I put them in there. So you gave like 150 damage or whatever. If they play 4 DC and you get rid of all 4 of them, that's 200 damage for 1 energy. That's why he's in there. No, there we go. Okay. So we have Sinister Hand. This pretty much was a damage manipulator. Dusknoir straight broken. Was straight broken when you got him out. If you're hitting for like, you know, 100 plus a turn, you can just move the damage off and just have just enough to where you can knock out stuff. This is also a part of the horrible, terrible, god-awful, I hate that deck, I want to burn those cards, Excelgor. Got to tell Excelgor I hated that deck, still hate that deck. This was in there too. And Dusknoir straight broken. Alright, I don't care what anyone says. Dusknoir, probably one of the most abusive abilities you could ever put in the Pokemon TCG. Then we got Mew EX. This is in here just because you just were able to copy attacks, and unfortunately Night March is losing Mew. And I can't remember like there's a lot of stuff that ran Mew. Most of them were fun decks, really. I think Night March was the only one that really ran Mew that was a competitive deck. But still, Mew deserved a spot here. Just like Mewtwo, Mewtwo, just like Darkrai, has been in the format for a long time. It has X-Ball, 20 times the number of energy attached to Mewtwo and defending Pokemon. This card first came out, I think it was going for like 70 bucks. People just saw how good it was. And then it kind of fell out of popularity, you know, less and less and less and less. But still, overall, it was an amazing EX. And it can be splashed into any deck. And, you know, the cool thing is we're getting Lugia EX, which does the exact same thing. So, still, Mewtwo was the counter to so many things. So, unfortunately, you have to go too, buddy. Mr. Mime was good just because you know, if you had stuff that had, you know, low HP on the bench, you could play down Mr. Mime, he would protect your stuff. Now we're losing that, so we don't have really any bench protection. Muna was good. Once per turn, you may flip a coin if heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep with tails. You know, your active's asleep. Muna was just an annoying card. So Sigilif, I actually forgot Trubbish. I didn't add Trubbish in here. You know what? No, we're mid-video. We're doing this. You deserve it because you were like my first ever Pokemon TCG Online video. All right, here we go. So we got Trubbish with Tool Drop. Does 20 damage for each, 20 times for each Pokemon tool attached to everything. Like, okay, I screwed that up. 20 times each tool in play. There we go. That's what I'm trying to say. So you have Sigilif. You can have up to 4 tools attached to it. And so, you know, perfect synergy there. Tool Drop was a great deck until Megaphone came out and, you know, Seismitoad and whatnot. Still a really fun deck. And on the subject of garbage, the card that I'm pretty sure a lot of people are sad to see go is Garbodor. Garbotoxin, if this Pokemon has a tool attached to it, each Pokemon in play, in player's hand, and the discard pile has no abilities except for Garbodor. And this shut down so much stuff. Oh my god. Shut down Blastoise, shut down Shaman, shut down Jirachi, shut down Klinklang. It shut down Safeguard Pokemon, everything, man. So Garbodor, unfortunately, one of the most annoying Pokemon to ever hit the TCG. And yeah, it's yeah. I can see why people are happy to see this go, but you know, I played Big Basis Garbodor for so long, so Garbodor is one of my favorite cards. Plus, I played Evital Garbodor, had the gold Garbodors and the full art Evitals, so, you know, I'm going to miss you, Garbodor. You were such a great card. Now on to water types. So, Keldeo, are you serious? I keep doing that. Ugh, I'm sorry, guys. I keep clicking the wrong thing. Okay, let's try this again. There we go. Okay, so we got Keldeo that has Rush In. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon's on your bench, you may switch it. So this will get you out of special conditions, or if you had like Bronzong, you need to attach some energies, along with Floatstone, which I will get to that in a minute. Keldeo was a really cool card. Plus, it had Secret Sword. When this first came out, you know, it was a deck. It was like the main deck with Tropical Beach and stuff. You just play it with Blastoise, so you know you could hit for high amounts of damage. And then Kyurem with Black Ballista, which I don't have on this account, by the way. If you notice, that's not on here. Came out, and Keldeo Blastoise, or whatever you want to call it, was just a monster. So we have Kyurem with Outrage. This Kyurem was really good whenever Donphan and Landorus got really big upon the release of Furious Fist. And when Donphan got really big, so Kyurem was a great card. It was really hard for them to do 130 damage, and you could just Lysander up and knock the living crap out of their Pokemon. So that was a great card. And the final Kyurem of the list, Plasma Kyurem, Frost Spear, 30 and then 30. It's an okay attack, and keep in mind you can get this powered up with a Course Machine and an Energy. And when you add in Deoxys and stuff, you'd be okay. Let's just say you have 2 Deoxys, a Muscle Band, and let's just say you had a Hypnotoxic Laser that was in 30. At 60, 80, that's 100 damage, and then 30 to something else. That's how hard this card could hit. And then you have Blizzard Burn. That 120 right here could turn into high numbers like that. So Kieran was a great card, and TDK, one of my favorite decks of all time, even though it got stolen. Alright, Polion. This is honestly, I think, hands down, the best stage 2 one prize attacker rotating out of the format. Attack command 10 times the number of Pokemon in play. Now, it's amazing to me that this card wasn't better than what it was. Diving draw once during a turn. You can discard a card, draw 2. If you have execute your discard pile, that's a free 2 cards, and then you can just hit for a lot of damage. It just ticks me off that this card didn't do better. If you look at it, this is not a bad card. This is just a great card, and it just sucks. God, I hate rotations. Alright, so we're going to be looking at Blastoise here. This card here kind of was like up and down, It's like once Tropical Beach cycled out, it went from being one of the best cards to one of the ant cards. And then when Archie's came out, Archie's Blastoise was, oh my god. You can just Archie's, get a Blastoise, superior energy retrieval, and start one-shotting and wrecking with Keldeo. So peace out, Blastoise. We have Suicune, one of the safeguards. Unfortunately, I do not have this Sigilyph that has safeguard in here, but they both serve the same purpose. Except Suicune was a little better because it's water type. It could hit for weakness for a lot of things. If you muscle band this, it could one-shot at Landorus EX. Also, honestly, if you have like if your opponent doesn't have any non-EX attacker safeguard, you could just sweep. So, that is going to do it for all the Pokemon. Now we're going to get into the trainers. Starting off with Chorus Machine. This was just in a lot of plasma decks. Play the Chorus Machine, get the plasma energy, and it was great energy acceleration. Alright, so with the rotation of everything, we are losing every single A-Spec. I repeat, every single A-Spec is the saddest thing in the world. I pulled a computer search at a pre-release out of my last 2 packs, and that's been my baby ever since. So losing A-Specs is really crappy. Most of them, pretty much the 2 main ones that are played are Computer Search and Dow's Machine. But we did see a rise in popularity of Life Dew, of Scramble Switch, and Scoop Up Cyclone. Those are like the 5 main ones that are played. Scoop Up Cyclone being played in bats. Life Dew being played in like decks that could have just knocked your own stuff out or whatnot. Life Dew was popular around my area just because there were some friends who played Empoleon Swampert and abused Lysander's trump card before it got banned. And Scramble Switch was in a lot of Evital decks in Japan, and it was in Groudon decks. And of course, Dow's Machine and Computer Search were just in everything else. So we're losing the A-Spec cards, which is probably the most hurtful thing. One of the most hurtful things of this rotation. Evosoda was just a cool card to evolve your Pokemon. Hypno-Toxic Laser. Another card that everyone is so glad is cycling out because this thing is annoying. This has won people games just because they couldn't wake up from sleep. Your opponent is active is now poison. Flip a coin if your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep. That's instant poison and possible sleep just in a trainer card. That's ridiculous, man. So this, also you add it with Burbank City Gym, and that turns into 30 damage, and that's what made Seismitoad hit as hard as it did. That's what, was a damage, increaser for Kyurem and Mewtwo and Landorus and just everything else. It made stuff a lot better than what they were already. Pokemon Catcher before the nerf was one of the best cards in the format, one of the most annoying cards in the format, to the point where they had to errata the card. Nothing was safe on your bench. Retreating, there was no point because all decks ran 3 or 4 Catcher. Actually, the last Darkrai deck I top cut with played 4 Catcher after the nerf. Town Map was really good in a lot of decks that needed specific cards in the deck, and whenever you had some stuff prized, you could just play Town Map and you could look at your prizes the whole game. This was mostly played recently in Night March just to see how many Night Marchers you might have had in your prizes and whatnot. Bianca, just one of the supporters that was played. Same thing with Sharon. Chorus. When this card came out, people, were like, "Oh man, this is a great card," and then they start opening with it, and they start realizing, maybe we should only play about 1 or 2 a deck. And recently, it got really popular with the release of Skyfield, because you'd be coercing for such high amounts of cards, and like a lot of times during like mid to late points in the game, when this card first came out before Skyfield, you could coerce about 8 to 10 cards, and it was a really situational, but overall a good draw supporter. Alright, so we're losing in probably the most devastating trainer loss that we're having, besides Flowstone. I'll get to that in a minute. Depending on what the Battle Arenas decks do, we're losing in. This card was really sweet, and when it came out, pretty much draw engines from the last rotation, it was normally 4 Juniper, 4 N, and then something else, but most of the time you played 4 Juniper, 4 N. That's how decks were for a very long time. And this card was really a solid draw card early game, but towards late game, it was a great disruption card, because you would just have your opponent, like, you could end them down to 1, and you could probably win a game because they just couldn't draw anything. So losing in, now players can sit there safe with their hands, unless they play the Ace Trainer card, obviously. But now, pretty much, if you take a knockout and you get like great prizes, you're like, oh man, this is awesome. You're more likely going to get end. So we're losing end, unfortunately. So he is rotating out, and we're also losing Professor Juniper. Now this isn't that bad because we have Professor Sycamore, but I have very special Junipers that I hold near and dear to my heart, because they were sent to me. They were Professor Stanton Junipers. That I got for free when my deck got stolen, and I used them in every single tournament that I've played in since. And because it just reminded me how good this community is, and those were like really special to me. And now I can't use them anymore, so I'm kind of sad. Shadow Triad. This was just pretty much played in decks that abused Hypnotoxic Laser or just in Plasma decks. Burbank City Gym, this was good just because of Hypnotoxic Laser and being able to add like extra damage for poison. Floatstone, I am really pissed that they didn't release a gold Floatstone. But we're getting gold energy retrieval, and we're getting unnecessary gold cards, but we're not getting gold Floatstone. Floatstone gave every Pokemon no retreat cost. Now this was really only abusive with Keldeo, but still, Floatstone is a great card, and I don't want it to cycle out. I want it to stay in the format, but it has to go. Alright, so we're losing Silver Bangle. I figured this was a card to add into the list as well. We do have Muscle Band, but cards like Flareon and Raichu, and pretty much every single non-EX attacker could use Silver Bangle and would hit EXs for 30 more damage, which was a lot, honestly. And when Muscle Band came out, this card kind of fell in popularity, and players just started playing Muscle Band in every single deck. But some players did keep Silver Bangle in those decks that did focus on the one prize attackers. And then in Plasma Energy, this had you could grab it with Colorless Machine, you could grab it with Shadow Triad. I forgot to go over Frozen City. This was just in here because some Plasma decks played it. Pardon me. If you notice, I didn't put Lugia in here. Again, I don't have it on this account. If you're seeing cards on here that you're like, why is this not on the list? No, more than likely, I don't have them on this account. But going back to Plasma Energy, this could trigger Red Signal to bring up stuff, which is pretty sick. So that is pretty much my description of these cards, what they did. Now, how is this going to affect the format? Well, Dark Pokemon aren't going to have free retreat. Benches are going to be a lot safer. We're losing Jirachi, but we do have Shaman. Execute and Executor. Now, like, a lot of the lock decks are losing their, their oomph, if you may. Hypnotoxic Laser cycling out. That's going to hurt Toad, and just going to hurt a lot of decks that really relied on that card. Computer Search and all the other aspects cycling out is going to pretty much slow the game down, kinda, and make, like, okay, let me take that back. It's not going to slow the game down, but it's going to pretty much, you're losing the availability of like really powerful cards. If that makes any sense. I feel like that doesn't make sense. Abilities are going to be safe except for, you know, the Hex Maniac card. We're losing Flareon, but we are gaining Vespiquen, getting a whole new line of grass attackers. All the plasma cards are cycling out. We're completely losing every single plasma card. We're getting Sycamore. Colress's cycling out. We do have Birches. We do have Shaunas. Same thing goes with N. You know, we have Birches, Shaunas, Shamans, Trainer's Mail, Acrobikes, and whatnot. I feel like the Trainer engine, though, is going to kind of fall off a little bit whenever Volplume does release. I'm trying to think of... Honestly, like, I'm trying to see if there's like anything really I could mention that would add into this video. Because really, like, a lot of the cards that we're losing, we have good replacements. Like Mewtwo, we have Lugia. Yeah, I think that's pretty much really all I can cover. You know, because like right now, I don't really know what else I could talk about. Because, you know, Ancient Origins hasn't hit, and we don't know the format really. But pretty much here is the noted cards that are cycling out. If you have some that you are ticked off that they're cycling out, I want you to comment in below. I want you to rant your ass off. I want you to complain, gripe, do your thing, man. Go down there below, and I want you to hit that caps lock button and go nuts. Because I've been doing that for Floatstone, Computer Search, Landorus, and there's a few other cards. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you really see what all we're losing. As far as this rotation goes, this is a brutal rotation, honestly. I think the last one wasn't even that bad. Really, the last one, we were losing 2 cards. That was Dark Patch and Level Ball, and we're getting Level Ball back in this upcoming format. And we do kind of have Dark Patch back, but it's in the form of Mega Turbo. So, yeah. Oh, man. So, also adding to you griping, you're probably going to be doing this anyway, but I want you to tell me what your favorite card is that is cycling out as far as, like, the one you're sad about. But thank you guys for watching. I love you so much, and I hope this was somewhat informative, you know, and got you thinking about what you could do to your deck, what decks you want to play, and whatnot. So, take care, guys. I love you, and this is Epic Pokemon TCG signing out. And yeah, I'm going to try to get some more TCG stuff out soon. Take care.